Hello, Arwen Humphreys.
Hello, Albert Howell.
It is on.
Oh, okay.
We've been recording this whole time.
Amazing.
Hi. So my guest today is Arwen Humphreys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known you for a long time, but you're known, of course, for Murdoch Mysteries and multitude of commercials and
Voiceover commercials.
Voiceover commercials,
which is apropos.
Apropos, yeah, exactly. That's why I brought you in, because you got a good voice. So I want people. I want people to want to listen.
Oh, okay. Well, people are definitely going to listen.
Absolutely. So the idea behind the show is it's called Love to Hate, Hate to Love.
Right.
So the idea is first we talk about something that you love to hate, something that drives you so crazy that you actually enjoy ranting about it or telling people to avoid it, something like that.
Okay.
And then the second half is hate to love, like a guilty pleasure, something that you love that you know you shouldn't love.
Right.
But you do.
I figured that one out yesterday.
Okay.
So my thing is I love to hate, like, sometimes on Facebook, there's certain people who I've kept on my feed because the rants anger me so. So I sit there and I never comment. I don't get into that because I know. Well, it's those comment threads. The reason why they go so off is because you have people who don't know each other who are commenting on things. So, like, my incredibly dark sense of humor might be read wrong. And then somebody's like, you're talking about genocide. That's a really horrible thing. Yeah, and it's like, but if you knew me, it's not a big deal.
Because there's no font for sarcasm. Like there really should be a font called sarcasm that we could use to say, so when you read it, you go, oh, they're being sarcastic while they're typing this in, or
like
something like that. Or
an emoji.
Yeah, an emoji, something. Yeah, just something so that we know, because you can do italics, but it doesn't really work.
Italics mean read this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even when you do the emotion italics, it's like, see it weird. It throws you off when you make the italics motion, which you can't see. I'm swinging my hands. But that says read this, so it doesn't necessarily mean I'm being sarcastic. Anyway, that's why they always go off the rails, because nobody knows each other, and so everybody, and then somebody gets, but I also love to read the comment threads, because that's when people get really self-righteous.
So what we're saying is you love to hate the online debaters or whatever, right? The online ranters. That's what you love.
The online ranters and the people who, because to me, especially on Facebook, for me, for the most part, the people that I've friended are, there's a few people I don't know very well, and it was more, back when we were friending everybody. But for the most part, it's people who know me and who most likely have the same beliefs that I do on some level. And also, I always question, and I don't mean this in an apple box way because I'm not necessarily doing it myself, but I always question, are you working in a place that helps solve this problem? Or is this just about flipping up a video about this thing that you disagree with? So it's not necessarily that it's like I love to hate it. I get a glee because I, sitting in my own space, I'm just like, oh, I totally disagree with that, and this is why you're wrong, and this is so, Well,
that's what we do. I mean, we all look for the things. Like, I'm kind of similar. I befriended a Friends of Donald Trump page just so I could read the comments and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And it's everything in my power to stop myself from typing a response and saying, do you understand how stupid or how illogical your argument is, or just how offensive you are? Like, there's nothing good about what you just said. But so beyond just the political rants, are there other types of people that you love to hate on Facebook? Other sort of arguments people make on Facebook besides the political stuff? Or is it
mostly political stuff. I mean, it's, I think I'm a big believer of passion, so I understand 100% that everybody has their passion, and so everybody has their cause and their things that they believe in. So that's what I meant by before we began, is that it's not necessarily that I'm putting down a person's passions or a person's beliefs. I just sometimes, and ultimately, if there's something I don't like seeing over and over again, I can have that wonderful thing where I can remove people from my feed. So there's that as well. I don't know. It's like I said, I realized that was something that I get a sense of glee. It's just.
I think it's kind of like when people prank people or just bother people. There's just something funny. It's like when you tease somebody or whatever. Yeah. There's something funny in seeing that reaction. Somebody gets so upset over something that really is pretty minor. They're getting upset over somebody else's statement on Facebook or whatever. Somebody said once, they said if you watch the comments long enough, eventually somebody brings up Hitler.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
eventually, somebody's Hitler. It's like the argument can start about dog walking or whatever, and it gets more and more inflamed, and then finally somebody compares you to Hitler. You eventually get compared to
You're
Hitler.
a Nazi
Yeah.
of some kind.
Yeah,
a blah, blah, blah Nazi. Which, that in itself, it's like, I don't know. That also blows me away because I'm like, okay, that was, like, 6 million people died, and it's been reduced now to something you sort of blithely call someone to make a point. Like, when you get to a point where the argument... Because there's never on Facebook this idea of agreeing to disagree.
You know who else had rules about dogs? Hitler. It's like, yes, well, not just Hitler. Everybody, a lot of people have rules about dogs.
Oh, God, don't even get me started. I have a puppy, and I've been learning weird, like, things about people and their dogs. I mean, I'm sure I have my own, so that's fine. I mean, I have... trainers that I like that I've sort of used to help train my dog and things like that. Oh, yeah. Like, there's so many thoughts. Like, there's positive reinforcement. There's sort of the archaic. Some people still think, like, a dog...
Shove his nose in his poo or something?
Yeah, and stuff like that. So, I mean, the way that I've sort of chosen is trying to learn about dog behavior and then sort of teaching them to live amongst humans as opposed to teaching them to be humans or something like that. Yeah. So another thing, just odd things like my last dog was very aggressive. So for 12 years, I had to say to people, yeah, I know he's really cute. Yeah, he's not friendly. Oh, I'm sure you get along with every dog. Yeah, I know. Or to children, it's true. I'm not kidding. Or like children was the worst because they'd come up and be like, can I pet your dog? The parents would be like, go ask. And I'm like, don't ask. Please don't ask. And then the child, can I pet your dog? And they were so polite. And I'm like, holding back my incredibly... By the way, my last dog looked like a stuffed animal. He was so
really
cute.
But he was...
His name was Punisher. He came with a name, but it matched his personality. So I'd be like holding my dog and going, thank you so much for asking me. He bites.
So the new one doesn't bite? Or the
no, she's... I feel like my old dog, I mean this in a very light way. Like, I feel like my old dog was like, thank you so much for putting up with all my stuff. Here is a perfectly friendly, well-adjusted, sweet...
Here's your reward. Yeah. Here's your reward.
Yeah. Because she is... If you meet Hazel, like, she's got an underbite, and I call her, lovingly, I call her Frankendog, because she's got like, this kind of weird tail with these legs, and she's a mix. She's from this... Oh, my friend told me what the right word was for it. She's from a native reserve, and my apologies if it's moved beyond native reserve, but that's what the agencies I worked with called it, so called that area. Anyway, called Sandy Lake, and there's a huge dog population there. And it's exploded so much they've actually had to do culls. And the woman, the woman who runs the rescue agency up there said, like, it sounds awful, but if you saw what it looks like, you'd understand. I'll leave it there. Let Facebook take care of the rest.
Now you're get ready to love to hate some comments.
Go! Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was actually supposed to adopt Hazel's mom. But when it's funny, the day of the adoption fair, which was nuts, by the way. Nuts. I was first in line being the keener that I was like, oh, I'm going to get a dog. And I was adamant, I'm not getting a puppy. I don't want a puppy. I don't want to deal with it. Yeah. So I got home and I put her down she was in her crate and I'm like, now what do I do? Seriously, I got a puppy and then they gave me this like package and I was so tired. We'd had our wrap party for Murdoch the night before.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I'd sort of blearily come home at 1 a.m. and then gotten up at
early.
like 6 and... Which is why I think there's this picture on Instagram. If you see that picture on Instagram where I introduced Hazel, what you don't know is I was half asleep going, what am I doing? I was like, because you have to pose in front of this Bissell thing to say I've adopted this dog. Anyway, I came home. I have some lovely friends who actually chose to have a puppy. And so they came over. And my friend, I remember she's like, so you're ready to get up every couple of hours, right? I'm like, what? Because apparently you have to train them to pee outside. Oh, my God. Which means, and Hazel was pee pad trained, which at first I was like, yes. And then I'm like, no, because she's still using the washroom in the house. Right. So I had to, like, go back a step, train her that house was not good. So I didn't sleep for 6 weeks over the holidays. I was mental. Like, this is why here's another love to hate thing is Facebook, because you know, it's the story behind the pictures. You know what I mean? Like, people post things, and I'm like, you know, I don't even get triggered anymore because I'm like, you guys argued that day, and that picture was like, you're both grimacing to the camera. And then, you know, sometimes I'm sure people do have that blissful vacation at the cottage / Mexico /
whatever. That's what I love to hate.
Yeah.
Fucking, hashtag blessed. Can't believe... What am I doing in Mexico with this margarita? Hashtag wonderful. Like,
when your boyfriend comes home and has tickets to Mexico and there's a blizzard outside and I'm like sitting there with my 2 cats in the blizzard. I'm like, I hate the world. I hate that.
Yeah, Facebook makes people depressed, I think, for that reason. Because it is. It's like a highlight reel for a lot of people. I look at it, I go, wow, everyone is having an amazing time except me. The whole world is having a good time. Yeah, I know it's not true, but that's what you see. That's all you see is people posting their highlights.
Yes. Well, it's funny because I went on a coffee date recently with somebody, and my friend was sort of saying, you know, how's it going to go or whatever. And I said, I'm just going to give him the Facebook version of my life. Like, I'm not going to get into the horrible details. No, I'm kidding.
I love the descriptions of rescue dogs because they always try to make them, no matter how horrible they are, they try to make them, whatever, they go... You know, it's like, Benny is extra flatulent. We call them love boops. You know, it's like, you know, or this, this dog needs special care. You know, he only needs several pills. I only need several pills a day and lots of hugs. It's like, I'm not getting that dog. I don't, you know, it's like, God.
It's it's that thing like, I have a lot of energy and need to be walked 3 times a day for 4 hours. You're like, what?
So you like fun dogs? It's like, no, that's not a fun dog. That's a fucking insane dog. Yeah, exactly.
You know that's the dog that's like, like it's climbing your curtains, and you're like, I don't even know if dogs could do that, you know?
Well, that's like you said, the prey drive thing. I remember there was one that says, I love cats a little too much. It's like, no, that's not I love cats too much. It's like, you want to devour and kill them. That's not love too much. That's...
And hump them.
Yeah.
Another dog favorite. Like, it's just
these, and then it's like, I don't know what it's like for you at this adoption thing. So maybe it was a little easier, but I look at it, it's like, they say, okay, you've got to, first of all, we have to interview you.
Yeah.
And then, okay,
trial
you got to interview, and then you got to and then we have to see you work with the dog, make sure the dog gets along with you. I'm like, all right. And then it's like, and then you have to sign up for a training course with the dog. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, and then it's, and it's $300.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then they're all going, I don't understand why no one's adopting more dogs. It's like, all right, we got to get on to what you hate to love. So, Arwen, what do you hate to love?
Oh my God. It's so embarrassing. I realized it yesterday. Name brand food. Like Schneider's.
You can't. No president's choice for you is what you're saying.
It's like Schneider's and like all. Okay, so I grew up in a home where I grew up with what's now called Whole Foods and making things like it's like what all these bloggers are doing. My mother
organic
did.
And stuff, all that organic.
She couldn't. Organic wasn't really happening in the 80s, but she always tried to buy fresh food, and she made everything from scratch. Like our macaroni and cheese was like this gorgeous macaroni and cheese with like a beautiful bread crust, and we weren't really allowed sugar. Like my sister came home when she was 9 and was like, she'd been to a birthday party, and she said, Mom, we went to this amazing place called McDonald's. My mother was like, no. And we drank this orange drink, and there were so many hamburgers. My mom was just like,
all her work undone in one afternoon.
Totally. So we were, as children, we were always trying to scam our way into having crap, basically, because that was the 80s. Like the kids, I'm going to, to the new generation, Whole Food kids were ridiculed in the 80s. Kids with Welsh names, like Arwen, were ridiculed in the 80s. And I mean, even to this day, people will be like, what's your name? Is that even a name? But anyway, it's so much fun.
Hey, Albert,
Albert, really?
You don't have, first of all, that's usually the reaction.
Why are you being made, why do people?
Because Albert is it's a weird name. It's just a weird name. It's like, people know it. It's not like Arwen where it's like, are you just making it up? But it's more like, Albert, really? Someone named you Albert? Because, nobody's been named Albert since before World War I. Basically that was when Albert sort of went by the wayside.
I think King Albert. Wasn't that
He was Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband.
That's right.
Prince Albert. He was the last one. But you see, Albert is a German name.
Oh, right.
And so when World War I hit and everybody was anti-German, especially the British,
Right.
Albert, even though there was a Prince Albert, the name Albert fell by the wayside after that.
Gotcha.
And everything. So it is the only time I ever see the name Albert in a TV show. He's either the nerd or the serial killer. That's the only time. Those are the only characters that get named Albert anymore. So that's
true.
it. Yeah.
All of that to say, I do try to buy responsibly. So, and I know that even my on occasion Schneider's buying feeds into factory farming, which is why it's bad. It's so bad. I don't even know if I should be saying this because I feel like I'm going to get home and Facebook.
Think of it. Once I post this, you're going to get a whole bunch of free Schneider stuff. Just think of that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right. Not that many people listen to this.
No. Well, no, it's not even that. I mean, even as a recurring character on the show, people are going to be like, you're not Helena or Yannick. You don't matter much.
Schneider's the wife of the sergeant. Enjoys Schneider's meats.
The wife who appears in 18 of 150 episodes. But
usually at dances. So like your mom made homemade macaroni and cheese. You wanted craft. You wanted Kate craft dinner.
I wanted craft dinner. Right. I wanted craft peanut butter. I wanted Skippy with the peanut on top.
Really? What an odd marketing thing that worked. Like, is there one single? It's like, do you know how much one single peanut is? Like 0.001 cents. It's brilliant on their part, but for us, it's like, you gotta have that peanut.
That's exactly it. Like, and so my teens and my 20s, I sort of ate all of that stuff and was a little portly at times, and at times.
I don't recall that. But.
No, by the time you met me, I'd slimmed down a bit. But my 21, I'm a small frame person. I was 137 pounds, and it didn't look very good. Anyway, but my point is that now it's funny because I did this thing where it's like I ate the Whole Foods, I rebelled against the Whole Foods, and now I love it. Like I make all my own food. I try to, like I said, I do try to buy responsibly, and I know that if I truly don't want to feed into factory farming, I need to give up. But that's what made me think of it, because yesterday I got this. I was like, oh, it sounds special, and it's Schneider's. I'm going to buy it. And I was at home like, no, this is the most amazing thing.
I'm so sorry. Tears streaming down your face while you eat it.
I say sorry in my car.
It's so good.
It's true. If I'm driving my car, I do it too. I'll be driving, and I'm like, sorry, planet, sorry. And in those times where I am trying to figure it out, I'm like, it's a special on meat and I need protein and I'm sorry.
And it's so good.
It's so good. So salty. So processed.
Oh my God.
It's funny. Last night I heard about this farm in Quebec which does humane foie gras.
How is that possible?
I don't know. Apparently they just make all their ducks obese.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault these ducks want to eat. We just put it out. They can stop anytime they want. Nobody's making them eat it.
It was the funniest thing.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and I told this man about it, and he goes, I don't care, I just eat it. And I'm like, and so then I had to do the balance. I'm like, well, some people need to know these kinds of things, and some people don't need to know these kinds of things. Like, anyway. So that's it. So I love to hate
online ranters.
Online ranters. I love to hate them. And also, I love to hate... No, I don't love to hate Facebook posts. I just have a very realistic view on what's going on. Because very quickly, the first 6 weeks with Hazel, there were many tears, many carrying Hazel home, bawling, exhausted. But if you watched on Facebook, it was like, my cute pup, #grateful, #puppy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so...
#fun.
Yeah, and fun as I die inside.
My big one is, obviously, is the humble brag. I always just hate the humble brag. It's like, I can't believe I'm doing a scene with Dustin Hoffman today. How did I ever get here? Like, fuck you. It's like if you're gonna brag, just brag. Just say, you know what? Doing a scene with Dustin Hoffman. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm having a great day.
Exactly.
Rather than, oh, I'm so humble. It's like no, you're not. If you were humble, you wouldn't be talking about this at all.
Well, that's, what's funny? Last year I worked with William Shatner, and by that I mean I didn't actually say anything to him, but I was in the same scene in him for Murdoch.
Oh, for Murdoch. Okay.
Yeah, and it was like super cool.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. I was like, he's like, hi, I'm Bill, and I'm like, yes, you are. You are Bill Shatner. Yeah.
Did he hit on you?
No.
Okay.
No, he was just sort of off. But what was also really cool is I got to work with Brendan Coyle, who's Mr. Bates on Downton Abbey.
Oh.
And you see, I really actually, it's funny because I know the humble bragging thing kind of bugs me too. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I was like, well, today was awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's fine. That's you know what, I am totally fine with that. When I see somebody say something like that, I'm like, great, yes, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Don't try to make it seem like, oh, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you know what? If you've worked for it and all the rest of that shit, then great.
Yeah.
And there's something about that maybe some people think it's to show you're grounded or something like that, but I don't know. It always comes across as false to me.
I think probably the first humble brag was actually humble.
Maybe, yeah.
The origins
Yeah.
of humble brag probably was humble. And I'm not saying that the people who are posting it don't see it that way.
Yeah.
It's just that to me, it's exactly what you said. We work really hard to get to wherever we are.
To get the little bit we do get. Yeah,
the little nugget.
Yeah,
that little nugget has it's like little nugget boulder of work.
Right, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so it's like, if I'm on set with Brendan Coyle, I'm on set with Brendan Coyle.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I spent with Murdoch and, everybody on Murdoch, we've all worked really hard on this show.
Yeah.
So for the show to be successful enough that William Shatner's willing to do it and Brendan Coyle's willing to do it and
anyway,
okay.
But there you go. Well, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
I'm going to on that note
Yes.
of our magical time.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing what you love to hate and what you hate to love.
Yes. Thank
Arwen
you.
Humphrey, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Albert Howell.
And your voice sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.